Alright YouTube, so as most of you know, there's a stress test happening this weekend, October 13th, for Xbox players only in North America for Fallout 76. Along with this, there's actually an NDA, which means you cannot post anything online from the game, no screenshots, you can't live stream, you can't capture gameplay, you can't do anything with the stress test except play it and give feedback. Which is kind of okay, it's whatever, and it's not a big deal. It's Bethesda's game, they're allowed to tell you what you can and can't do with it. But still, I have the question, why? And yes, before we even get into it, I said it's not a big deal, and I'm making a video. That does not mean it's a big deal to me. It's pretty easy to sit in front of my computer and make videos. It's not that complicated. The main reason, and probably the most obvious reason why I'm asking this question, is we just got through with the Greenbrier event, which people were allowed to capture gameplay and post it after a certain amount of time. This, stress test for Fallout 76 is happening right in between the Greenbrier event and the actual beta for the game. It's happening legit like 10 days before the actual beta is coming out on Xbox. So I'm asking the question, why is there an NDA on this? These people were allowed to capture gameplay for an older, crappier build for the game. When they were testing it at Greenbrier, it was a 2-week-old build. And presumably the people that are part of the stress test are playing the most up-to-date build that's more optimized than the one they played at Greenbrier. So why wouldn't you want that kind of gameplay out there? Because some of the gameplay they got from the Greenbrier event was kind of choppy. I'm not saying it was completely bad, but some of the frame drops were horrendous. And as I was recording this video, I actually got to thinking maybe the NDA is on Xbox's side. Maybe the NDA has to do with the Xbox Insider Program. But actually looking into it, it turns out that most previews for the Xbox Insider Program don't have an NDA. Some do, it can happen of course, but generally according to Xbox, there's not an NDA. So my guess would be when there is an NDA, that's probably on the developer side. It's more than likely the developer telling Xbox and the people who are participating that they cannot share things from their preview. So that would mean that it's Bethesda that's actually enforcing this NDA for the Fallout 76 stress test. So again, I ask the question, why is there an NDA at all? What's the difference between some random person capturing gameplay and uploading it to YouTube and the people who capture gameplay at the Greenbrier event? Because, what's the difference? Gameplay is gameplay. You can maybe make the argument that, hey, what's happening in the stress test doesn't reflect the final product, and the exact same thing can be said for the Greenbrier event. Again, it was a 2-week-old build. It was an older, crappier build. You couldn't even barely venture past Vault 76. So why would you want that gameplay out there? And what's the difference between somebody capturing gameplay from the stress test, which is probably a more up-to-date build and a more optimized build, or it might even just be the exact same build they played at the Greenbrier event. And if that's the case, again, what the hell is the difference? And the reason why I bring up this question is, to me, it still feels like it's some preferential treatment shit. We talked about this previously. The Greenbrier event, if you don't think that that was meant to help Bethesda and help the people that went to the event, I don't know what else to tell you. You're completely blind. It was absolutely what that's meant for. It's a symbiotic relationship. These people capture gameplay and talk about the game. It helps them and their channels or their website, whatever it is, and it helps Bethesda. And the reason why I say it's preferential treatment is because there's no legitimate reason as to why there's an NDA other than Bethesda just doesn't want you to show gameplay. Because if more people had newer gameplay, it would take the eyes off the people who already do have gameplay. That's really the only argument that I can see. If somebody out there can give me an actual reason as to why there is an NDA, outside of the fact that Bethesda just doesn't want you to capture gameplay for no actual reason, they just don't want you to, I'm down to listen to it. You could also probably make the argument that Bethesda doesn't want people showing too much of the game before the actual release, but that also doesn't really make sense because the beta's coming out before the release. There's no NDA on the beta. The beta is the full game. And if we also jump back to the Greenbrier capture event, people were allowed to do whatever they wanted. They had 3 hours to do anything and everything they wanted with the game, which in of itself would contradict the concept of Bethesda not wanting people to show too much of the game before the actual release, so I don't think that argument stands up either. So if you guys can give me one legitimate reason as to why there's an NDA on the stress test, I'd like to hear it. Ultimately, my biggest argument for the situation is, what does it even matter? What the hell difference would it make if some guy with 13 followers on Twitter shared an image of some badass gun that he got? What is that going to affect? Look, I don't want to be the smaller channel that's bitching all the time about the opportunities that the bigger channels get. My channel is doing just fine as it is. The beta is right around the corner. But you cannot convince me this isn't Bethesda protecting the people who already have gameplay. Because if there's new gameplay to watch, people are going to be watching that instead. Anyways, I'm not sure what more can be said about this. I've voiced my opinion on it. I just don't think it makes any sense at all why there's an NDA outside of Bethesda just not wanting you to capture gameplay because you're not, 200,000 subscribers. Anyways, guys, you know what it is. Let me know your thoughts below on this topic. What do you think? Why do you think there's an NDA? If you guys can give me an actual reason, I'd love to hear it. And as always, if you guys went on to enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, turn on notifications, follow me on Twitter at TheDashingDavid, at my Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
rock with